Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Winged Dragon of Ra Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post the Megatin 2022. With the release of the newest Megatin, we got a new spell card that definitely does help with the overall search power of the Winged Dragon of Ra deck. This card definitely has the most support, I would say, of all the many different Egyptian god cards. When I say many, I mean Obelisk and Slifer, obviously. But still, this card definitely does have the most support, and with it, just more variety of what you can run with the deck, and a deck that fully focuses on the Egyptian god Winged Dragon of Ra playstyle of using Monster Reborn to special summon it back from the graveyard, and its many different forms, including Sphere mode and Phoenix mode. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the main deck monsters, we are running 3 Winged Dragon of Ra. It cannot be special summon. It requires 3 tributes to normal summon. It cannot be normal set. And this card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, other cards and effects cannot be activated. And when this is normal summon, you can pay life points so that you only have 100 left. And it gains attack equal to the amount of life points paid. You can pay 1,000 life points to target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So I would say it's one of the more nerfed Egyptian god cards, obviously, but still pretty good when combined with the other spells and monsters we run in the deck, including 3 Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. Now, what's great about Sphere mode is, regardless of the fact that if you're playing Winged Dragon of Ra, this is still a pretty good card just to take away your opponent's plays, because you contribute 3 monsters from either side of the field to special summon this card to that side of the field, whoever owned those monsters. So you can take away all of your opponent's board that they built using your Sphere mode, and then at the end of the turn, you change the possession of this card back over to you, and then you can use it to special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Definitely useful, and it also works with setup with the next card that we run 1 copy of, which is the Winged Dragon of Ra Immortal Phoenix. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned by its own card effect, and it cannot be special summoned by other ways. If Winged Dragon of Ra is sent from the field to your graveyard while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, and its effects cannot be activated in response to the effect's activation. So your opponent, you really can't do anything against this card. This card is unaffected by other card effects, and you can pay 1,000 life points to send one monster on the field to the graveyard. And once per turn, during the end phase, send this card to the graveyard. If you do, special summon 1 Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode from your hand, deck, or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. So you have the basic setup for all of these 3 forms of the Winged Dragon of Ra to then get another copy onto the field for you to use. It's great running all 3 copies, but like I said, you only need 1 Immortal Phoenix for the other setup we can do with the deck. For more of the tribute power in the deck, I do run 3 Ra's Disciple as just another way to get 3 monsters on the field, and then just be able to tribute summon out your Winged Dragon of Ra through that method. And you can easily search and gain the additional normal summons with cards like Ancient Chant, being able to search out Winged Dragon of Ra and grant you that additional normal summon while still providing you the tributed power of the monsters used for the Winged Dragon of Ra's tribute summon. I also run 3 Reactor Slimes, so you have the token set up for more special summoning as well, and being able to search and use your Metal Reflect Slime, so you can have plays to gain access to the Egyptian God Slime as well, using this card on the field. The same play comes into mind when you use Guardian Slime, which I'm also running 3 copies of, being a card that also has the Winged Dragon of Ra in its card text, makes it another searchable card for your True Sun God spell, since it says to add 1 Winged Dragon of Ra or 1 card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So you can even just search off Guardian Slime off of this and then just have a defensive card to use against your opponent. And then for the rest of the main deck monsters, just 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just as a good hand trap response to your opponent, because you do have a good majority of cards that can just 1 card set up the Winged Dragon of Ra on the field, which, unlike Slifer and Obelisk, they don't really have that, leniency as much as Winged Dragon of Ra has. So that's why I'm using some hand traps in line with this deck as well to have more of a meta relevancy to this card in the deck. So 3 Ash Blossom, just my hand trap of choice, and like I said, works very, very well with all the other playstyle setups you can use with Winged Dragon of Ra, including the next card, which definitely does help with the overall search power, and that is the True Sun God. When this card is activated, add 1 the Winged Dragon of Ra or 1 card that mentions it from your deck to your hand, except for the True Sun God. Monsters except the Winged Dragon of Ra cannot attack the turn they are special summoned, and once per turn during your main phase, you can send this card from your field or the Winged Dragon of Ra Immortal Phoenix from your deck to the graveyard, then send 1 the Winged Dragon of Ra from your monster zone to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 1 the True Sun God per turn. So this play is meant for you to set up your Winged Dragon of Ra, being able to send it to the graveyard and already have the Immortal Phoenix in the graveyard for you then to special summon back onto the field, thanks to this card, since Winged Dragon of Ra was sent to the graveyard. And that's what happens, since it says if Winged Dragon of Ra is sent from your field to the graveyard while it's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, getting you access to the Immortal Phoenix, and then after that, the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode. I also run 3 copies of Ancient Chant. You add 1 Winged Dragon of Ra from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and if you do, you can tribute 1 tribute summon monster during your main phase in this turn, in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn, and you can banish this card from your graveyard. If you tribute summon the Winged Dragon of Ra this turn, its original attack and defense become the combined original attack and defense of the monsters tributed. So this is the Ancient Chant that Yugi, recites when summoning out the Winged Dragon of Ra, and that gives it the additional effect that was lacking from the original release of the card, the combination of all the different monsters used to tribute summon it onto the field. And you can also search Ancient Chant off of the True Sun God, meaning you just have a search into a search for another Winged Dragon of Ra monster. And I also run 3 Soul Crossings, so you have the tribute option for your opponent's monsters, along with your own as a more quick play spell against your opponent. Being able to use your opponent's resources is definitely useful, and then just limiting you to 1 Divine Beast monster effect per turn. But unlike Obelisk and Slifer, you have 3 Divine Beasts for this deck, so at least you can use any of those in turn with Soul Crossing on the field. I also run 2 Millennium Revelation. This continuous spell, you can send 1 Divine Beast monster from your hand to the graveyard to add 1 Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And you can send 1 Winged Dragon of Ra from your graveyard with Monster Reborn, ignoring its summoning conditions, giving you the option to summon out Winged Dragon of Ra, just like Slifer and Obelisk, to the field with Monster Reborn. And during the end phase of this turn effect was activated, you must send the Winged Dragon of Ra you control to the graveyard. That was special summoned with Monster Reborn. So obviously you want to run Monster Reborn in this deck, which we'll get to in just a second. I only run 2 copies of this card, though. You really only need the 1 copy. I just run 2 in additional for the search option, because then with the True Sun God, as long as you open up Ancient Chant in your hand, you will then add Millennium Revelation, or vice versa. Just like I said, that's why I'm running 2 of it, so you have a better chance to open up the 1 and then just have that other search to go into. I also run 2 Mound the Bound Creator and 1 Terraforming as just an additional protection option for my level 10 monsters in the deck, including Guardian Slime and even Egyptian God Slime from the extra deck. And then the Terraforming just to search into these options. And then lastly, just the 1 Monster Reborn. You use it with Millennium Revelation, so you definitely want to have it as the needed card to then special summon out the Winged Dragon of Ra onto the field. And then that is it for the spells. Moving on to the traps, I run 2 Sun God Unification. If you control a monster whose original name is the Winged Dragon of Ra, you can activate this card at the turn it was set. And during the main phase, you can pay life points, so that you can only have 100 life points to special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra you control. And it gains attack and defense equal to the amount of life points paid, even if this card leaves the field. And once per turn, you can tribute 1 Winged Dragon of Ra to gain life points equal to the attack on the field. You can activate both of these effects in the same chain. So with it, this is more of the play that Merrick used, giving up all of his life points, but then regaining them back again after the Winged Dragon of Ra leaves the field. So you really don't have that risk of only having 100 life points left on the field because of this card. I also run the 1 Metal Reflect Slime for the option with your Reactor Slime, setting it up on the field, and then giving you that 1 card tribute if you don't have Guardian Slime for the search, to then go into Egyptian God Slime. And then lastly for the traps, just 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Along with Ash Blossom, I just find these fitting to disrupt your opponent's own plays that they may try to use to stop your own Egyptian God plays, including the option, which is very useful for Infinite Impermanence, the turn you set it, to at least then, negate any of the spells and traps that would be in that 1 column for your opponent. And then also being able to have these many other continuous spells set up, you can kind of control where you will set this card up and make your opponent play around the Infinite Impermanence as well. And then moving on now to the extra deck, I run 1 Egyptian God Slime just for the tribute option for your monsters, including just the Metal Reflect Slime and then also the Guardian Slime. Plus, it can count as 3 tributes for a monster on the field, so being the 3 tributes needed for your Winged Dragon of Ra. And if you use Ancient Chant, you can at least use this to then give your Winged Dragon of Ra 3,000 attack and defense, just like the Egyptian God Slime had on the field. For more of the generic plays, I also run 1 Salmon Great Almirage for the Link 1 away play for our weaker monsters, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Area of the Water Charmer for the slime tokens, 1 Lena the Light Charmer, along with 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and 1 IP Masquerena for the rest of the Link 2 monsters. For the higher Link monsters, I also run 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Access Code Talker, and 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. You don't go into these cards often. I just like having these options available to me with some of the cards I run. And since the Winged Dragon of Ra, Guardian Slime, and also just your go-to forms of Winged Dragon of Ra can be special summoned quite easily onto the field. Additionally, with cards like Monster Reborn, I also run 1 Gustav Max, 1 Sky Palace Gongaradai, and 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus. They do come up just as additional burn damage you can, give to your opponent using your Gustav Max, or going for the pop of a card with Sky Palace Gongaradai, and then if they, attacked with either one, you can then go into Zeus as more of a board clearing field for your opponent. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, it all comes down to what you open up in your hand. If you have Millennium Revelation, or at least the True Sun God along with Millennium Revelation, or the Ancient Chant, you have a pretty good setup for your Winged Dragon of Ra in total in the deck. So let's say you just open up with these 2 cards in your hand, and then you just have the additional cards which you can use for, like I said, either the tribute play or just the go-to one you want. So you will first activate the True Sun God. It's a continuous spell, so it'll remain on the field. You can add the Millennium Revelation to your hand since it has Winged Dragon of Ra on its name, and then with that, since you already have the Ancient Chant in your hand, you add Revelation, and then you activate Ancient Chant to add the Winged Dragon of Ra from your deck to the graveyard, or deck or graveyard to your hand. Adding Winged Dragon of Ra to your hand, the Ancient Chant will then go to the graveyard. With that, you can then activate Millennium Revelation to send 1 Divine Beast monster from your hand to the graveyard. So you'll send the Winged Dragon of Ra that you just added, and then with that, you will add the Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and then you can send this face-up card to the graveyard to special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your graveyard with Monster Reborn, ignoring its summoning condition. So then you will then activate your Monster Reborn, special summoning out your Winged Dragon of Ra onto the field. You won't be able to use the Ancient Chant with this because you didn't have any monsters to tribute, but you did get a Winged Dragon of Ra out onto the field. With that play, you can then use the True Sun God with, instead of sending this card from the field to the graveyard, you can send Immortal Phoenix from your deck to the graveyard instead, sending the Immortal Phoenix to the graveyard, and then sending Winged Dragon of Ra you control to the graveyard. This will activate your Phoenix in the graveyard, special summoning back into the field, giving you a monster that can clear out monsters on your opponent's field. You haven't paid any life points yet, so you have this play ready to go. And then after the Immortal Phoenix is sent from the field to the graveyard, at the end of the turn it was summoned, you can then special summon the Sphere Mode to your field, which thanks to this card, cannot attack, and your opponent cannot target this card for attacks or by card effects. So you are pretty much protected that following turn when your opponent's turn comes around, thanks to having this card on the field. And then you can in turn use the Sphere Mode to tribute it to then special summon out 1 Winged Dragon of Ra from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning condition, giving you another Winged Dragon of Ra and continuing the play all over again thanks to this 1 card and the 1 additional search. And what's great is you have all of these search options available to you, because even if you open up the other cards, let's say you open up Ancient Chant and Millennium Revelation, you can use Ancient Chant to search out the True Sun God and then use that card to add the Winged Dragon of Ra to your hand and have the same play that I mentioned before as well. That's the great power of this deck. It definitely does work very, very well. And what's also great is other cards just for the setup. If you summon out cards like Reactor Slime, being able to then summon out 2 slime tokens onto the field. And then if you have the other card in your hand, which is important, which is Ancient Chant, you can add Winged Dragon of Ra, and this will give you your extra normal summon, tributing out the other 3 monsters, including the 2 tokens and Reactor Slime on the field, to then summon out your Winged Dragon of Ra. Or you can even tribute out the Reactor Slime to then get out the Metal Reflect Slime, which can be set and activated the same turn. Special summoning this, tributing this card to summon out the Egyptian God Slime onto the field, using that for the tribute for the Winged Dragon of Ra, and using the Ancient Chant in the graveyard to banish to gain the attack of the Egyptian God Slime, giving you a 3,000 attack, 3,000 def points Winged Dragon of Ra on the field, along with the 2 tokens you still would have had on the field thanks to the initial play of the Reactor Slime. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Definitely happy with the results of all the new cards that we're getting from the Megaton for the Egyptian Gods. It definitely does add for a lot of different play styles you can do with these decks, and I hope you all enjoy them as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.